What's up over the hump? We're gonna go talk to Shawn from Bike Religion today about training for over the hump. Let's go. Hey guys, we're gonna talk a little bit about training and what's going on down here at Bike Religion Dana Point. Over the hump, we get this a lot in terms of feedback from riders and people that a lot of times from vendors that have never been there. Right? They'll show up to their first deal and they're like, "This is different. There's something different about this race." And from an outsider's perspective, what do you think that is?
You know, I was there the other day, and you know, I have a 2-month-old now, and I didn't realize just until the other day when I took a second and looked around and saw all these kids riding around, and I can't wait to get Mateo out there on his Strider, and it's very neat. It's you know, there's that elite few that take it very serious as a part of their training, but I think the bigger portion of it, that may be 15%, or you could probably tell us that, but the majority is just family oriented, come out, have fun, healthy way of life, you know, fitness, experience something new, take yourself outside of the comfort zone. These are all cool people, and yeah, it's cool. The amount of young kids that are out there is really, really cool.
It is. Oh, and what I've seen, it's different in the sense that you have such a high level of family involvement, and you have guys that, you know, they used to race, used to do something competitive, right? That's absent in their life now, and it's one chance to get out there and actually feel that again.
Right.
And for an hour of their day, it's just them and the bike and everybody else out there, and it's just like, that's a pretty cool experience to do. And I mean, when you have multiple kids and a mortgage and a dog and responsibilities, and you get out there and you can bring your whole family, and that whole unit's supported there and welcome there. So I think for me that was one of the coolest things. For people that don't know a little bit about Bike Religion, about yourself, like from my perspective, Bike Religion is kind of really the only bike shop that's a very unique bike shop in what it has in its location. You guys are in the south end of Orange County, where there's not a ton of bike shops down here,
right? And
you got some cool stuff going on. So tell me a little bit about Bike Religion.
Okay.
And what you got going on.
So yeah, we're right here in Dana Point. We have Crank and Grind Coffee in our shop. You know, we do a few group rides a week that we'll meet here, have some coffee, do the ride, come back, more coffee. We do a lot of mountain bikes. Santa Cruz is one of our main mountain bikes that we do. We're in the process of getting our beer license. So we're going to connect with some of the local breweries around and have, you know, 4 or 5 beers on tap here too.
Okay.
So that'll be fun. We're just trying to create a network of friends, of, you know, like-minded people that will join the shop and just kind of hang out and celebrate cycling and health and wellness and
so my Saturday ride, I can come hang out, do a ride, have my post-workout beer.
Yeah.
My B vitamins and my carbs are important for recovery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have you guys talked to any of the docent guys or anything like that?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have them here. I've heard Michael's been working on everything, and I've heard their name thrown around for sure. So
yeah, they got some good beer. So the docent is providing all beer for over the hump.
I've been enjoying them each Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I'll go out. I'll pre-ride the course with some customers and clients, and you know, they're all lining up, and I'm changing my clothes, getting my beer, and then going over to the line and rooting them on.
That's awesome, man. So you guys have something interesting that I don't see a lot at bike shops, where you actually have a dedicated training space, where you have a squat rack, pull-up racks, and some dumbbells and like that. Tell me a little bit about that and what you got going on.
It's kind of evolved from my years of a fitness trainer. So from the age of like 16 to 28 in Dallas, I was a personal trainer. So I have a very extensive background in coaching people or helping people. It initially was inside a gym, and then I got into racing myself, moved out to California, and I kind of evolved it into working in a bike shop and coaching athletes out on the bicycle. And then it evolved into the opportunity that Michael and Bike Religion gave me, and you know, working together, we created a functional training area within the shop here. So there's a huge miss with a lot of endurance athletes. You know, they're getting injured, their core stability, just all kinds of stuff. So I find that if we can add in, if you want to improve your cycling, you got to stay injury free. So if we can add in the resistance portion and the core training portion, you're going to be much better off in the long run.
To someone who's racing an over the hump, that's say like a beginner and maybe 40 years old, they're not crazy into this yet, and they want to make that jump from beginner to maybe intermediate or even sport.
Okay.
What's the one thing that's going to give them the most bang for their buck, training-wise?
Yeah, I would say there's a couple things that come to mind, and they're easy to implement. Is when you get out there and you're in the race, work hard throughout the entire race. You may get dropped and you may hurt, and you may tell yourself, there'll be that split second where you're like, oh, I don't have this today. But you've got to quickly remind yourself, hey, I want to improve. So keep pounding those pedals, even though the group's up the road. Don't quit any race. Finish every race, work hard throughout the entire race, and just know that you will improve. Volume is huge too. Continue, so you just finished your first season of Over the Hump. Continue to ride your bike a lot. Volume for the majority of beginners is just where it's at. You don't need to really focus too much on the intervals. Make sure you're getting proper recovery, because it's all about overload and recovery. You overload the body, but then you got to allow it to recover to improve. And then I would say the third thing is just educate yourself. But don't expect to get the same answer from every article or every person, because you're going to get a ton of different stuff thrown at you. But read up on it, educate yourself, talk to more advanced racers or people that you look up to. Hire a coach. You know, do a little bit of all that. You know, and you can hire a coach for 2 months, and you're going to learn a ton. At least from this coach.
How important is the mindset of training versus just riding when it comes to something like over the hump and racing, not just going out with your buddies? Is there a difference between the two?
I mean, it depends on what level you're at. If you haven't been riding for that long, you're going to see huge improvements from just riding, just getting out and putting the volume in and just riding. But and then if you are at a little bit higher level and you've been just riding for a long while and you need to get more out of yourself, yeah, you got to break it down. You got to start looking at the specifics of what you want to work. A race like Over the Hump, it's very specific. It's almost like a time trial. You know, all mountain bike races for the most part, you're constantly on the gas. So going out and doing a slow group ride that has a few hard sections where you're going really hard and then going easy, that's not similar to a mountain bike race at all.
How important is intervals and hill sprints for something like Over the Hump?
I think intervals are very key. Over the Hump has plenty of little hills that you got to sprint up and go really hard, but then at the end of it, you're not sitting up and relaxing. You got to maintain that gap that you maybe put on the rest of the field. So you got to have a very high threshold or ability to put out power for an extended period of time. There's not a ton of long hill climbs. I mean, you know, lately the
elevator,
yeah,
fire road of doom.
That's a fun climb. Yeah, I like that because it slows everything down. You're there alone, you're suffering, and things start to open up, and you can see the guy up the road that you're either catching or he's pulling away from you. It's really cool to have that in this year's.
That's been a cool thing for us. That was actually, we did that on purpose because we figured the climb sucks, right? It's part, like for me, I like climbing, but it's not a enjoyable experience a lot of the times, and you can pass too on the up part, which is nice. Yeah. And then when you're just sitting the single track, it rewards technical skills on the bike, because you're not just flying down the fire, you're actually turning and getting into that single track and everything like that. So it was implemented on purpose this year. I thought it was one of the coolest additions to the new course. Yeah, we got going this year. I run into this too, where you see a lot of resistance training in the cycling world community, or the cycling community in general. And I think a lot of it is, personally, it's, you know, people just like to ride their bikes. They have limited time, and a lot of people that they push for that. So from the perspective of someone who has raced or someone that's going to Over the Hump, like how important is resistance training in a training program? Well, if you don't do resistance training and all you do is ride your bike, you're going to get injured, and that's a bad thing. That's not going to help you get faster on the bike. Additionally, you know, you might be fine now because you're 30 years old. Say you're 50 years old and you're riding a lot. You're getting injured a little bit because you're not doing any resistance training or core work, but it's going to come to a point where if you want to continue to ride your bike into your later 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s even, it's very important to balance your program out. For a lot of racers, they think that they're going to add muscle mass and weight, and you know, there's a lot of ways around that where we're not going to have you on a diet or taking the supplements or doing the reps or the heavy weight that may add muscle, but it'll still add strength and it'll still provide the core stability
that's going to keep you from getting injured and help your bone density. And so I think it's a very important part of one's program, very neglected.
Sure. Well, I think, and that's something I think that's been shown enough times, the causal link between weight-bearing exercise and bone density and the health of your tendons and ligaments. And one of the things you and I were talking about before really has to do with imbalances that are created by only doing one sport of, like, say, riding the bike, right? Riding the bike tends to be very quad dominant, and you were talking about how imbalances are a lot of the reason why people get injured. So talk a little bit about that. Like, how do you avoid that as a cyclist?
The imbalance and the injury. Yeah, I mean, like Sunday, July 30th, I'm doing a workshop in Lake Forest. It's the Corrective Exercise Specialist Workshop, which I have that certification from National Academy of Sports Medicine. And that's all about, I'll put you through an overhead squat assessment, no weight, but I'm watching your movement patterns as you squat down. When I see your knees caving in as you squat, that's just because your adductors are too tight and your glutes are too weak. Very common with a lot of cyclists. So that tells me what muscles we need to foam roll, what muscles we need to stretch. Doing the same, that's to loosen up those tight muscles, and then we need to strengthen the glutes, and that's just going to put you in proper alignment, therefore preventing those injuries. So
sure,
if that answered your question.
It does. So for someone that's, say, racing it over the hump, how important is it to include strength training, which I think we've kind of covered, but two, how often does somebody need to actually strength train to really see benefits to their cycle?
Yeah, once a week is fine. Maybe twice a week in the off season. But yeah, once we progress and get you kind of over, like, I wouldn't say, okay, you're racing next week, let's start resistance training this week. That's not going to be ideal. So we want to be strategic with when we implement it. But yeah, once a week is enough to keep you strong and stable and progress with your strength.
Especially on season.
Absolutely. On season, and pretty much if your priority is racing your bike and getting better at over the hump and moving up through the ranks, once a week is completely sufficient.
About this thing?
Taking a break to talk to customers.
I just did a training camp in Tahoe. We stayed at a client's house and we rode for 4 days. It was great. It pushed a lot of these guys. I mean, these are like 50 and 60-year-old guys, and they've never ridden 4 days in a row. Spent 4 to 5 hours a day on their bike 4 days in a row in their life.
Sure.
So it was a really neat experience for all them.
There's a difference between getting a plan written out on a page,
right,
and having somebody actually look at what you're doing, how you are on the bike, making sure the bike's tuned,
right,
and all that stuff. So why don't you tell me a little bit about how that's different?
Yeah, I don't do 1 month plans or a 6-month program that I write out and give you, just because I don't feel that you're going to get that much out of it. I would rather get the commitment out of the customer. Yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit more. Do it for 2 months. You're going to learn a ton. It will be a very progressive plan within those 2 months. Typically, I'll have a plan for the first month, but it's going to change as you and I communicate about what's going on in your life.
And there's personal instruction too. Like,
absolutely.
People and actually teach them the movements and things like that.
All of my programs include a resistance training, one a month, and then I have monthly paying client, discounts. If I'm coaching you and you're paying $300 a month. It includes one personal training session a month, but you can purchase at a discounted rate additional ones.
Perfect.
Because as I said, I do recommend 1 day a week of resistance training. Also, I'm getting out at least at a minimum 1 time a month on the bike with my clients. A lot of the clients, I have a core group that goes every Saturday, and there's 5 or 6 of us, 7 of us that'll ride every Saturday together. So I find that builds a lot of value, and my clients really enjoy that when I'm riding with them.
Sure.
We're riding the group rides, doing the group ride, then riding back, kind of breaking down the dynamics of the group and how it was. So for a lot of them, it's an informal race. Guys are serious in the group rides, and so
that's awesome.
That's a lot of fun.
So you guys are actually coming out to Over the Hump to do as our featured shop. You'll be there, and
yeah, we're gonna show up with we have some XC racers that we support, and they're gonna come out, and we got some good clients and customers that'll come out, and yeah, we're looking forward to it.
We ever gonna see any crank and grind samples of the coffee Over the Hump?
We got to get with Karen, and hopefully we'll have some crank and grind iced coffee out there. Yeah, soon.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's gonna be Adam and Shawn here at Bike Religion. We'll see you at next week's Over the Hump.
See you guys.